Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to Extra Scoop Podcast, where I'm Dwayne. My co-host Sissy is not here today. Her husband had to go; he's in the hospital, so she had actually had to go to the hospital, so she won't be able to join us. So let's keep her and her husband in our prayers and keep them lifted up. Um, Again, my name is Dwayne. I'm one of your hosts here, and you can reach me at my socials at Dwayne Turn Silk on TikTok, Instagram, and also on YouTube. And I want you guys to sit back and enjoy it today. We want to pick back up where we left off on yesterday. And on last podcast, I said yesterday. I guess I'm running them all together. We want to continue to talk about autism and the things that are going on with autism and the families that are actually dealing with it daily. And so I want you guys to sit back, relax, and I want our guests to come back up and introduce themselves and also tell you their social medias, how they can contact them, so we can get into this podcast. We can't hear you. I think your mute button is on again.
Hi, Jane. How are you?
Doing
Sorry.
pretty good. That's okay.
I'm doing good today. My name is Selene. I'm an autism mommy, and my platform Selene. My name SELENE_89 across all platforms.
All right, that'll work. And we do have another guest that would come. She's not here yet, but she'll probably come as we move on into. Actually, she just showed up. So let's bring Ashley up so she can introduce herself. How are you
Mhm.
doing?
Hey.
Could you introduce yourself to everyone and let them know your socials, how they can get in contact with you?
Yes. Hi, everybody. I'm Ashley, also known as Movie Hippie Mom on all social media platforms.
All right. We definitely thank you guys for coming. And again, Sissy won't be here today. She had to go to the hospital. Her husband's in the hospital. So let's keep her lifted up and keep him in prayers as well, that he has a good recovery. And so we want to get back into where we left off last podcast. And we want to bring you two beautiful autism mommies back up so you guys can continue this conversation for us. And I think we wanted to kind of also, before I do that, I want everyone to be able to reach out to. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Oh,
Oh, okay. Actually, if you can get in touch with, yeah, if you can get in touch with Selene right quick and let her know to come in on her original link that she had before, so she can come back in.
okay, okay.
All right.
So leave it real quick.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can stay where you were at, because Sissy is not going to come today. But just go ahead and tell her to come. Tell Selene to come in on the link that she had last time, not the one that Sissy sent to her this time, and that way it won't kick her out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But as she's doing that, I do want to give everyone's Sissy's socials at TikTok. It's at Sissy 11251. So you can also contact her there. And while we're actually getting Selene back up again, I just want us to realize that a lot of people try to lump neurodivergent into one group. So I guess when they see someone that may have autism on whichever level they have, they kind of lump that in on into one. So they say, hey, if I see one person with autism, I've seen them all. And I think we need to kind of talk about that a little bit, because we have verbal versus nonverbal. We have the different stages of autism. And I wanted to actually start with you, Ashley, because I do know that you have one of your sons, I believe Maverick is his name. He's nonverbal. And so I wanted you to kind
Oh,
of speak on.
no, no, I don't have a son named Maverick. That's
Oh, you don't?
nonverbal.
Okay, that's
That's
Allison.
someone else, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's Allison.
yeah. So I think Allison is supposed to come as well, but Allison has a son that's nonverbal, and I think when she does come, we would talk a little bit about that. But I know with nonverbal, a lot of times people have a little bit more um, of a moment to deal with because of the non communication. And I think a lot of times people can take a lot of those different things that they're dealing with a nonverbal child as them being defiant or them being contentious or them being bad or whatever the case may be, and not being able to communicate with them well. And I think the same thing goes with verbal autistic kids. I think sometimes when they're having an actual episode or a trigger. And I wanted to get into that moment since she's not there. We can go right into the triggers. And sometimes we think that we look at the meltdowns that we call it, the meltdowns leading up to, um, while, and after. And first things are the triggers. And the triggers can be anything from bright lights to loud noises to smells, clothing, a change in routines. It can be a lot of different things. I want you actually to speak on a little bit of the things that you have noticed, experienced about triggers that you can speak on. Ooh, I think we did it again. So, oh, go ahead and you're muted.
Basically, what it's telling me is that only one person can go in through that link.
Yeah, I think she, Sissy sent you her link. And so you were supposed to came in on the links that we gave you last time. It's a different link. So it's a host link that you came in on. And so that's why it's kicking you two out. So hopefully hopefully she'll come back in on the other link. So you can stay here for right now. So I was just speaking on the moment of triggers, um,
Okay.
the different triggers that are there with nonverbal or, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I came in. Let me see what the link I went through the first time.
Yeah, the first time.
Yes, I have it. Do you want me to send it to her?
Yeah, send that link to her so that way she can come in on that link, and that way she won't kick you out when she comes back in.
Let me see if I can.
All right. So I know Sissy was in a hurry, so I think she just sent you guys the wrong link.
I just sent it to her. It does say guest, so hopefully that'll work.
Yeah, yeah. So we were talking about the misnomers of neurodivergent kids. Oh, there you go, Ashley. You're back again. So I'll kick this back to you again, Ashley, since I was speaking to you first on the actual triggers uh, of um, of the meltdowns that we do see from nonverbal and verbal autistic kids. We were talking about those as being bright lights, loud noises, smells, clothing, a change in routines, and among other things. And so I want you to speak a little bit about your experiences in those moments, in those meltdowns, and those triggers.
But identifying those different triggers and finding something is going to change in the moment. It's not going to be the same from situation to situation. It's going to differ from that. But in that instance, like if you know your kid better than anybody, you know what brings them comfort, and really using that as a tool to have foster closeness, that helps a lot.
Yes. Yes. Selene, what about you? Again, those triggers are something that sometimes people mistake those as them misbehaving or something like that when they're in social settings, school, or whatever. What are your experiences of those triggers from your son dealing with those moments?
I would say for me, he has a really hard time with loud noises. So a lot of times he seems dismissive and people take him as more like he's kind of like I don't want to be around you, or it sometimes it gives him like a bad mood if it's really loud. He's overwhelmed, he's overstimulated, he kind of doesn't, and he sticks to himself. A lot of times is misleading, like he's not happy or dismissive or just like not friendly. But a lot of times it's just because he's so overwhelmed with everything, the noise and everything, that he just kind of wants to like stick to himself. Um, Noises were a really big thing, and clothing for him, for example, like we have a really hard time if it's not soft. Tags are a big issue. If the shirt isn't plain and if it has like writing on it, and if it's a really thick, when they kind of like stamp them and it's really thick, the design on the shirts, we can't wear that at home. Like it's just it burns. So he basically what he does is this. It ruins his whole mood and his whole day. He walks around like this, carrying his shirt like this, walking around like this. So we can't. It burns. That's exactly is his words. It burns, mama. I can't wear this. It burns. It burns. And he screams. He's like, I need soft clothes. When I wash the shirts, after a few washes, you get those little pebbles inside. So those pebbles bother him a lot. Like it hurt. Like he says it burns. He wants to wear it inside out, and I'm like, we can't do that. But so he has a hard time. We have a really hard time with clothes, especially in the morning. I think it's gotten a little bit better, but when we were like in kindergarten and he was going to kindergarten, when we first started, the routine of getting up in the morning, getting dressed, getting changed, preschool, it wasn't that bad. I think the clothing started more like as he's getting a little bit older, and right now it's really bad. A hoodie takes, I don't know, 2 3 uses and it's bad. So it's expensive, and it's draining because we have this thing, and as soon as he gets home, he wants to take his clothes off and just be in a t-shirt and boxers because anything that's tight or anything that's like that holds them tight or it just doesn't make him feel good. So I think you're muted, Dwayne.
There we go. Can you hear me better?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think that I know when I was younger and was growing up back in the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, we had a lot of friends that probably now we would know that they would be diagnosed as autistic. But back then, you would try to figure out why does he not want to walk on the grass? Why is he just on the concrete? And if he steps on that grass, it's a meltdown, and we don't understand why. And I think those are the things that over time, seeing those friends go from not being able to walk on the concrete or I mean on the grass, and then as we get over in middle school and high school, now seeing them not wanting to wear certain type of clothing, not being able to wear the uniforms at gym, or they have to get a special jersey for him for football or something like that because of the things or have certain padding on. And you didn't think of it then, and as kids we would be like, "What's wrong with him? Why is he so special?" But now you understand of the irritable moments they were having, and then the change that comes along with it. And that's one thing that I noticed that sometimes parents with autistic kids have trouble identifying the changes because when they're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, they may be irritable here, and then as they get 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, it may still be a lot of those things, but it may change into some other things. Some things may go away, some things may stay the same. And I think identifying those changes, if you don't identify those changes, it can lead to more meltdowns. It can lead to increased stimming. It can lead to irritability, pacing. The covering the ears, like you said, you cover his ears with the loud noises. Some become quiet, and you're like, well, he used to talk, now he don't want to talk to nobody, or she used to communicate, now she stays in the room all the time. And I think being able to identify those changes as parents, it helps you guys identify what's going on, and then have less stress yourself, identifying what your kid needs and being real attentive to what they have going on. So Ashley, I want you to speak on it a little bit, about your kids and your experience of the times that you identified the change, and then sometimes you may have missed the change and had to come back around and get it again, or um, some of your kids may not have had a change. They may still be the same irritants and different things that's going on, or they may have got rid of some. Could you talk a little bit on that?
Yes. So they have changed a lot as they've grown up over the years. Some of the things that bothered them previously don't bother them as much anymore. Um, for example, my child that was terrified of Halloween stores and animatronics, he now doesn't have an issue. He prefers scary monsters and things like that now. So that's completely different. Um, Kids that had texture issues with certain fabrics, they still have those same similar things. Polyester is always going to be an irritant for our kids. Um, any spandex blends, things like that. That's just stuff that I guess it's par for the course, dealing with kids that are like that, um, that have had those struggles. And I mean, I still, certain polyester fabrics, I can't do them either.
I
I get
agree. I'm
it.
the same way.
Um, yeah,
Anything
it's
that's
it's very
pretty solid.
understandable.
Yeah. And I get it. I'm like, I don't want to feel obstructed myself. It is what it is.
With the other kiddos, I feel like it gets easier as they get older because they learn more of how to communicate and express their different needs, and like, okay, I'm getting overwhelmed. Uh, do you mind if we sit and take a break? Or, things like that. Going into places like, we have a hands-on children's museum that's very local that we frequented a lot when they were little. It's called the Thinkery, and it's in Austin, Texas. And they have a room for calming down because they know that that environment is extremely loud, and it can be a lot on a kid with sensory needs. And they had sensory friendly days, but even still, it would be overwhelming, and they would play so hard that they would get so overwhelmed by the surroundings or the stimuli, because they have different rooms and different things that are going on. And some of the kids would want to linger in other rooms longer than the others, like the water room, the current room. They constantly wanted to be in there. So it's not like that anymore. We don't have meltdowns like we used to, because they've all gotten older and they've learned how to communicate better. So
Yeah.
it's gotten easier with time. I feel like, for us anyway. In some ways, in others, it's just changed how they handle themselves in other situations, because they've changed as they've gotten older. So
Most definitely, most definitely. Selene, I know your son is in that growing stage. What are your experiences with it as well?
Yeah, I agree. Some things are really good and they've changed and I see a lot of progress, but there's many things or new things as he's getting older, new things that are developing that I'm like, "Oh." Little things like for example, well, yesterday I was complimented because we went to conferences and one of the teachers came out in the hallway and she's like, "Let me just tell you, I'm so proud of him because I remember how much you struggled bringing him in here, like on when he was coming to kindergarten in the mornings." And he's like, "You would bring him late because I knew you were struggling. I knew what it was. I knew that, he didn't want to get on the bus or this and this." And now it's like he wants to go on the bus. He goes there early. He gets up early. We get ready. He wants to go. He's like, she says, "It's really nice to see him so happy because he definitely looked miserable every single day of kindergarten. And now, especially in the mornings, and now he looks happy." And I'm like, I am so proud too. He's making new friends, so that's a little bit not like a normal kid would, I would say, in his own way. He's teaching them in his own way to like, talk to him or to be friendly in his own way. Um, but he is growing, it is helping.
I think her reception went out a little bit. Um, when we get her back, we'll pick back up where we were with her. But I also noticed that also going from the moment of identifying changes, let's get into the meltdowns themselves. Because I know a lot of times that's what people experience are the meltdowns of autistic kids. And that's what they kind of paint that picture with of a broad brush that they see a kid that's melting down. And it's sometimes the meltdown can be them actually going in the corner somewhere and sitting and not want to talk with nobody, not want to move, and all those different things. So I want you to actually to try to speak to the meltdowns, what you have seen, the different types of meltdowns from your kids over the years of dealing with them, growing up and parenting them. You're muted right now.
sorry.
That's
When they
okay.
were very young, I noticed a lot of screaming meltdowns. They would just throw themselves down, and you had to like catch them and hope that they didn't accidentally hurt themselves or whatever. That's why we developed the system of what we did, um, and how we started distracting and helping them through it. Um, there were a lot of, I don't want to be touched, I don't want to be talked to, moments that they had as they got older. There were other moments where they would just want to be by themselves. They didn't want anybody in the same room as them. Don't look at me, don't talk to me, don't touch me. Um, we had a calm down corner for them as well that they could utilize at home privately in each of their rooms. So that was a big deal. And then also one in our living room. So I think that helped out an awful lot with those types of meltdowns, because as we implemented it, they started using it more. But there were different types of meltdowns for different situations. And some of them were extremely intense to deal with as a parent, but um, We had some pretty mild ones where, like, I had my daughter who was 2 at the time, and she was starting to potty train, and she was in public in a disposable pull up and was not happy about it. And she was crying because she started to go potty a little bit. And I was like, oh, okay. Before I figured it out, a woman was like, oh, you stop that. And I looked at her and I was like, you stop that. You were a child once crying in a store. You need to be more patient and considerate of other people. And she's trying to communicate something. She's not crying for no reason. You're being a bully, and back off. And that's pretty much how I dealt with it. I didn't take any crap from any other people about it. It was like, hold up a minute, recognize who you are, and step back. Like, we had a couple meltdowns in stores where people were very kind and they were like, "Will it help if I intervene a little bit, maybe?" And sometimes it would help, and sometimes it would escalate things and make them worse. Um, so I've also worked as customer service de-escalation rep, and for me, I've used a lot of those skills with my kids as they've progressed throughout life. But identifying those different types of meltdowns and having people be kind enough to even want to try is so helpful. It's very considerate, but I stopped caring about what other people thought a long time ago. They're going to think whatever they want to think in passing, and there's nothing you can do to change it. You just have to do what's going to roll best for your kids and for yourself. And you know what's best for them, you know?
Most definitely, and that's the important thing, that you have to set the atmosphere, for your kids individually, because whether it's an autistic kid or it's a non-autistic kid, you have to parent each kid individually and know what boundaries there are for each kid and how to parent them. And especially when you do have an autistic kid, you have to really be aware of, I may can't discipline this child the way I discipline my older child or my younger child. And so it looks different. And to have a neutral spot for all of them, as far as a calm down corner, um, that's something that goes across the board. I remember when I was growing up, my mom used to send us to the corner. You want to act up?
Yeah,
Get in that corner. I'll see you. I'll see you in about 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And I think it makes every child think and then get back into their own headspace to calm down. And I think that's a perfect space for everyone to think and use, because it helps the child to not first be overstimulated by discipline, but it also helps them to just get recentered and say, okay, why am I looking at this wall? What's really going
right.
on? And be able to think past their moment. And so I think that's something that I love, for that moment, because it helps that child to recenter and come off that meltdown. And also, um, for those who are in those public spaces that begin to have a meltdown, sometimes it's just as simple as removing them from the crowd and
Yep,
letting them reset. Take them to the car, take them to a different spot, take them outside to run around, let them see a little dog outside playing. It kind of refocus them from the thing that spooked them, the thing that scared them, the thing that got them to have that meltdown. I think we have to do a better job in society, just as the woman you said that was telling her to stop that. If that woman was really being observant, instead of saying stop that, she should have came and said, "Oh, little mama, how you doing? What's going on?" Try to redirect the conversation for so that way it recomforts her and it makes her think again, like, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe what I'm going through is not that much because she's speaking to me. So let me go over here and speak to her and say hi." And it's just the moment of understanding as a society, being able to identify, okay, is this kid really being bad or if this kid is just really having an episode? Now let's identify that moment and move forward. So that's something I think we really need to be able to identify with. If it's objects that's there, maybe just simple taking the object out the way, removing it, taking it to the next room. So that way they won't be so spooked by the thing that spooked them. Those are identifying things that we could, as a society, help in those moments. If I see a kid spooking out and there's a funny looking toy in front of them and they're standing there screaming and hollering, maybe I should just go remove it and take it out the way and say, okay, is that better? And allow them that time to move on. Have you had experiences like that before?
Yes, I think another thing I forgot to mention is that in the calm down corner, we had things like fidget toys to help redirect. We also had charts on the walls that discuss the different emotions that they would be feeling and what level of feeling they were, like happy, sad, mad, angry. It goes on and on. And it gives you like colors to go with it. Um, you can't control, I can't control other people, but I can control how I react, things like that, that are encouraging, that help them understand their feelings and their emotions that go along with whatever is going on with the meltdown. Helping them identify that trigger or that feeling and emotion that goes along with it is also so important, because that helps bridge the gap of communication there when they're so
Yeah,
little and they're just learning how to really speak. It really helped save us a lot to do that, because it made it where they wanted to actually communicate with us more. They're like, okay, they care. So they want to know more. Okay, how can I help mom and dad help me through this? And once they understand that we're not here to like push the stimuli on them, we want to help maybe disconnect them from that situation, remove them, take them out of there. Something that worked for me personally as a child, because I also have autism and ADHD. I would go to the bathroom with my Nana, and she would wash my face. And washing my face off with cool water helped me to calm down, and it brought me back into myself, helped me ground. So it was a very, I remember being overwhelmed with sight, sound, noise, lighting, sudden drops and stuff. We went to Disney a lot, so that was quite an overwhelming experience for a little kid.
yes,
And that helped a lot, was knowing what worked for me also worked for some of my kids, so I was able
yeah,
to implement some of that. But the calm down corner is always a good idea, and it's good to help them. Even if you don't have anything fancy, you can make your own charts and learn how to communicate with your kids, to try and help them understand, like, hey, I'm right here beside you. I know this is so hard for you. Even them just hearing that is so helpful for them getting through
yes.
those hard times.
Yes, and that's identifying their feelings, their personal feelings and emotions and the things that they feel. And they're all individual human beings, and so they're all going to have sometimes the same feelings, and a lot of times they're going to have their own feelings that's triggered by a whole lot of different things. And as a parent, that's kind of a number one moment to understand their feelings, identify them, and know what's going on with them. Um, One thing that I heard you say as well is that you were with the corners that you guys have, the quiet downtime in the rooms and the corners that you have in the room and in the living room area, the family room area. You're actually exhibiting that moment to that we're not going to over punish, but we're going to support, and we're going to give parameters, and we're going to set rules and regulations, but we're going to do it in the confounds of what we need to do within what you're feeling and what you're doing and how you're getting there, so that way we can cover across the board. um, I've seen a lot of times that people kind of take it overboard and they punish first, and they go straight to the punishment: sit down, stop, quit, shut up, stop, and all those different things, but they never take the time to understand exactly what that kid's feelings are. A lot of times you just listen, they'll tell you. And once you get it, then you can kind of operate in that moment, in that space. And that's one thing I heard you identify earlier when you was talking, is that we have parameters, we have things that we have set. And so when you get to this level, we're going to put you here, and we're going to let you calm down, and we're going to figure out what that moment is in that time, so we can start deducting things out of your space, so that way you can get back where you need to be, or adding stuff into your space so you can get to the place where you need to be, to get back to a level of being at peace. And I think that's something that a lot of parents need to start identifying, and then also people in the public as well, identifying that those things that we can help. Like we said earlier with the lady, if she would have, instead of saying what she said, if she would have came and approached in the moment of just being concerned, hey, what's wrong, little young lady, it would have been a different outcome for everyone
Hmm.
in that moment. But when you come with the wrong aggression, then you set a whole nother precedent, in that moment. And so I think that's something that we need to really pay attention to not punish, but support, and then also just have patience. There's no reason to
Yeah.
rush. Time is moving. Yes, we all do know we have to get up and work. We have to go to school, all those different things. But to be patient with the kids, be patient with what's going on because it'll help us really understand. I want you to speak a little bit about that because you have several kids, and so at the end of the day, you've had to deal with it in a different space than what even Steele or some other people have to deal with, and then also dealing with your own diagnosis from childhood as well. Let's speak towards the patience that you had to develop, even once you start having your own kids and the frustration of raising them and bearing them and doing all the things and then having to reset. Speak to that just a little bit.
There were times that we would have children that would be so excited about birthdays or holidays that we would have to delay certain things because they would overplay or get so overstimulated that they would melt down so hard that they would go to bed early. We had nights like that. We also had situations where um, they would go through. It was so different um, with having to deal with holidays. We pretty much learned even if I kept a schedule, there was no guarantee that we were going to by any means stick to it because anything could happen that would set them off. Anything that could
Yeah,
occur to set off one kid, or once one got crying, it would set off another. When they were toddlers, it was bad like that for a while. But redirection and learning to let go of the expectation of perfection. And I think social media does such a good job of teaching everybody that they have to be this perfect cookie cutter family and everything must go perfect at all times. It's just not like that. The reality is that not everybody is perfect, and that even within neurotypical families, you're not going to have a perfect holiday all the time. There's going to be something that could unexpectedly happen. Let go of your expectations of perfection pretty much once you become a parent. Um, Learn to just go with the flow. Once you learn to let go of that and make the adjustments with the understanding that like important things can happen on other days. If they play too hard or get overwhelmed on their birthday because the party was too much, to do less next year, to adjust according to where their play level is at. And you really watch that when you watch how they play and you don't helicopter them. You learn a little bit more about their play level and what their skills are and what they're able to do without having these great big meltdowns. Because children, when they're under 5, learn a lot about the world through interactive play. And that's
yeah,
so important for them to have that uninterrupted time. In other countries, we see it where they have um, higher intelligence scores with kids that are allowed to free range play and do things of that nature. So I kind of tend to follow other countries' levels of the way they handle parenting versus the
yeah,
US because I just found it to be more like what worked for our kids. So um, that's just how I did things. Every parent has their own way of doing things. There's no one right way to do it. It's just what worked for me was allowing them to really play a lot of it out. Um, there's also ways that you can do things like constructive deconstruction play. So if you have little boys that are wild and they're rambunctious and they're high energy, high stimulation needs, finding something they can do, like if you get a styrofoam cooler or whatever, and you decorate it like a dragon or a castle, and you give them a stick to beat it with, then they know. Um, like, okay, I can make a mess. And this gives them a nice way that they can make a mess without um, being told no. If you make a lot of opportunities for yes and for playtime, it helps out with that need. And it really gets through to them like, okay, instead of waking up and finding that your sensory bin's been dumped out, you've set up a way for them to be messy and it's okay and it helps them out. So
yeah.
those were some of the things that we did to handle that.
Most definitely. I think that's something that we need to get back to as a whole in society. That was something that
Hmm.
we did way back in the day, in my days. We had time to explore because their parents would tell you, "Hey, it's 7 o'clock. What y'all still doing in the bed?" And by the time of 7:30, 8 o'clock, we had breakfast and we were outside, and we didn't come back in until lunchtime. And after lunch, then we didn't come back in until dinner time. And it was like it was always a moment of free range play. It was always a moment of exploration. We can ride the bikes, go into the woods, and really go out there and see what everything was about. See the frogs jumping and everything else, and be able to just get into things that we couldn't do at home, but having the parameters to know that we're not supposed to go past point B and point C and then come back home and we're fine. And I think it did stop us when our kids started getting more involved in video games and in the home, and there wasn't really interactive play. It wasn't things that really challenged them to be creative. It was just more of I'm just doing what this video game is telling me to do, and I'm gonna get back off and go do the next thing I got and get on my phone and text. And so I think we really need to get back into those things as a whole when our kids are young and those impressionable building days, to where when they do get older, they're able to be stimulated correctly. And I think that's something that we're learning from a lot of our families that have autistic kids, is that we need to get back to that because it helps. It helps when they're in pre-Ks and kindergarten, all those different things, to have those type of interactive play and moments going. And so we know that patience is very important, and it takes a lot of patience to be able to create moments for your boys, especially when they're overactive and they're wanting to go out there and play. It takes a lot of patience to go out there and give them a space and not want to say no, no, stop, stop, and just give them opportunities to just play and go ahead. And once they're done, get them in, get them cleaned up, and let them get ready to eat and go to bed. And I think that's what we need to get back to as a whole. And as we get ready to sum everything up, because I think Selene couldn't get back in, and so we'll have to catch her on the next podcast. As we get ready to sum it up, I want you to just go ahead and speak to everyone and just let them know what's on your mind, things that you feel are a takeaway addition of what we've been talking about. And again, remind everyone how to get in touch with you if they want to communicate with you. You're on mute, I think.
So for me, hold on one second.
Okay, go
One of
ahead.
my little ones has approached.
That's okay.
Um, two of them. Okay, take her to watch the show. I'll be there in a minute. So Nerdy Hippie Mom on all socials is the great way to reach me. Um, again, don't expect perfection, you guys. um, that's a good sum it up. Also, learning how to communicate with your kid, express to them the feelings, different emotions. Calm down corners are helpful. Fidget toys can be helpful. There's different. Um, a new mom dealing with autism. Get in touch with your local community. There are good resources through early intervention. I don't know what state you're in, but if you do want to connect with me after, I can help you get a hold of resources in your local state because I'm good at doing that. I used to work with Medicaid, so I know how to find all those resources very well. I'm pretty versed in it. I don't mind helping out anybody that's a new parent that wants to know more resources or wants to find something local like hands on kids museums. Those are amazing. Uh, Local WIC may actually have some resources. Depending on how old your kiddo is, they may know of hands on museums and other things like that. But I also know how to find resources such as like there may be free parks and zoos in the area, and some of them even accommodate that type of stuff too. Um, but definitely get up with me after the podcast if you guys want to. Nerdy Hippie Mom on all socials. And for any new parents that are dealing with autism, just take it one step at a time, one breath at a time, one day at a time. Like, slow yourself down and remember that it's not always going to be easy. You're your kids' you're their rock, their home, their original home, and you're their first teacher. So everything that they are learning is coming from you first before anywhere else. So it will really resonate with them how patient that you learn to be with them. And I know that it's not always easy. I have not always been the most patient of people. I have very little patience at times. And it's just important to remember that these are little people. They do not have all of their brains yet. They will not get them until they're 25. Um, so that prefrontal cortex and social interactions is missing, and they're learning it. They're learning it every day through every interaction that you have with everyone around you, even in your household and theirs. So just take it slow and steady, and you'll find what works for you and your child. It is a hard thing to do, but support and finding your network of people and in your community can be very, very helpful. Make sure that you take care of yourselves as well, and know that you're not alone. There are plenty of parents that are out there willing to help. I know Selene isn't on here, but um, you can find her on TikTok. I can't remember her at, but I think it is Selene with goggles, if I'm not
I think
incorrect
so.
about that.
I think so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Selene with goggles, yes. Or if you connect with me and you want to connect with her, I can get you connected to her because we're friends on TikTok. So
most
there's that.
definitely. Most definitely. I definitely want to thank you, Ashley, for coming out again. I want to thank Selene for also coming out. She got bounced out and she couldn't get back in. I want to also
No.
give a shout out to my co-host Sissy, who couldn't be here because she's at the hospital with her husband. We send prayers and our love toward them, and we know that he'll have a quick and speedy recovery. We want to also shout out to our lovely, beautiful queen, Angela, and the Crew podcast for hosting this podcast today. We want to definitely thank you and shout out to you for always being there for everyone. And I'm Dwayne. I'm one of your hosts here as well. You can reach out to me at Dwayne Turn Silk on all my socials. And just until we meet again, I want to just tell everybody thank you. And you guys have a great evening. And with that, we say good night.
Good night.
Bye,
Thank you for having
everyone.
us.
You're
Bye.
definitely welcome.